Good leaders are people that could relate to people and, just be real. And that's what I try to be. So there you go. Well, first things first, I appreciate you calling me a good leader and whatnot. I really do. Now, how I got to be here, to be honest with you, I mean, you know me, man, but I'm just going to say it for the listeners slash viewers out there. I'm a pretty introverted guy. I'm a pretty quiet guy, not super extroverted. And I feel like something that really comes with being an introvert is just being a little bit more observant. And just in life, I'd rather be more observant than not. I'd rather pay attention to the little details. And so when I am around great people, first off, I try to recognize that greatness and try to figure out what makes them great, try to observe what makes them great. And so I think part of the reason why I'm as effective or as good a leader, or at least it appears to be to some people, is because I try to take those great qualities from people I've been around and apply it to my own life. But, hindsight's 2020, and so I definitely look back at how they held themselves, what made them special, what made them stand out, not just physically, mentally, all that stuff, but as a leader. And so for me, I feel like I really got some of these great leadership skills from just observing.
Being able to go UNC, kick it up in Greeley, dog, was a legendary experience, man. Just from the professors we had, the people we got to meet, be around children and teach them on a daily basis was a fun environment. Being able to play on a club baseball team and have a team environment around in college time was a legendary experience as well. So, man, just being around that fun environment in college and life was something I'll always remember, man.
Okay, so this is a pretty loaded question here. What drew me to the game of football, and why do I love the game so much? Well, let me start, I guess, from the beginning here. What drew me to the game was that I lived in Texas, and honestly, if you're a dude growing up in Texas and you have some sort of athleticism, any sort of athleticism, you're kind of expected to at least try out for the football team. I think that's part of the culture down in Texas. You're just kind of expected to play football, even if you were a little bit of an athlete. Even if you loved sports too, you were expected to do it and contribute. Because inevitably, there's going to be some coach or some adult just in general that's going to come up to you and be like, hey, son, you play for the football team? If you do, great. We'll see you Friday night. Playing in the big stadium, I got a taste for, the love of the game, strategizing, watching film, scouting, talking that trash. I did. I was a quiet dude. I was a good dude, in class and, off the field. But when we hit that field, I'm in your ear, and I'm gonna put you on your back too. that was just really appealing to me, as a adolescent, as a teenager, it's just appealing to knock a dude out, to lay a big hit, be physical, break tackles. I got to play a bunch of different positions and whatnot, but, I would say probably one of the best feelings is in football, I would say, is arguably knocking a dude out. That sounds malicious, but it's not. Like laying a dude out is probably the more appropriate way of saying that on defense. And, shedding tackles as a ball carrier, when you get the ball and you just make that first contact and you bounce off of him and stuff, and just shedding those tackles. Greatest feelings in football, I would say. As long as I'm by a football field or watching the game online, I'm never truly alone because, I always have the memories and the joy that football brings to me in general now as a viewer, as a media member, coach, even sometimes, all of that great stuff. So, yeah, I think that's the answer, kind of complicated, kind of long, but that's what it is.
This time in life, I've been going hard for a pro baseball career and putting up numbers and putting up stats that I could always be remembered for in that regard. But later in life, after it's all complete, man, definitely an important dream job I'd like to have is one day to come back and help coach as a main dog for Longmont baseball or Longmont football, put on for Longmont team. I think that'd be a badass full circle, man. That balled for Longmont, played for Longmont.
Yeah, so my college experience, I think in order to talk about that, I gotta talk about my high school experience first. And so, my first year of high school here in Colorado, went to a public school, nothing really special. After my freshman year, though, I did transfer. And so, for my next 3 years, and this is where I also graduated, I went to the Classical Academy, specifically their College Pathways program. I got to college up at the University of Northern Colorado. I was pretty much ahead. I had maybe a handful of LAC classes to take, which, I pretty much all got knocked out my freshman year. Usually, liberal arts credit LAC classes, those take about 2 years. Those are your first 2 years. And then you really get into the meat of your major, your junior and senior year. And so I really loved my college experience. I can't speak enough positively about our cohort and our professors as well. Shout out Dr. Downhauer, Dr. J, Dr. Krause. Just there's so many people. Ping, just a lot of great people that I'm thinking about right now that not only prepared me as a teacher and got me as ready as I can be to be the best teacher possible, but people who made me into a better person, who made me into honestly more of a man and whatnot, and I'll always really appreciate that. It felt like family, truly. And I feel like that's such a cliche to say, but it really did. And I had just had a really positive college experience.
Hey man, when it comes down to for how I want to be remembered, it's one of the top position players to ever come out of Longmont as a true Longmont player, meaning born in Longmont, played for Longmont, and came back to coach for Longmont. All those factors while being a pro baseball player. That's what's up, man. That's how I want to be remembered right now as a baseball player that was one of the top to ever come out of the village, man. But listen, that teaching degree always will be there to help teach and coach athletes later in time.
Helping a player on the recruitment journey is getting them those D1 offers or whatever it may be, and eventually their signing day. Those are always good because it feels like a little bit of a relief, right? For me, especially helping a lot of kids, specifically here in Colorado, it's more of a matter of okay, let's see where they're at skill wise, right? And there's a lot of great players here in Colorado, a lot of good players, but there definitely is a lot of great players. I'm gonna put them a tier above here. Guys who are D1, Power 5, Group of 5. They have the talent to do so. They have the grades to do so. Off the field, they're taking care of business. I never really try. I'm just gonna be honest. I never really endorse too much a player that I know has off the field issues. What's the realistic level they could play at, be successful at, play at a high level, and be able to contribute to a team as a scholarship player? And so figuring all that stuff out and whatnot. And then once I know that, then it's time to go to work, right? It's time to, tell these players, hey, you got to reach out to these coaches. You got to reach out to a ton of people. It's a numbers game almost at this point, if you're not already getting looked at. It's a numbers game, and it's more urgent as you get closer to signing day their senior year, If you're a junior, you really got to hit that soon. If you're a senior, by the time we're talking about it, you may have only 2 or 3 months to commit or sign, Going to college for free is what's gonna matter. Getting an opportunity to play is what's gonna matter on the next level, not your pride. And so that's probably the first thing I tell players to check automatically. And if they're coming to me, then they most of the time I would say they will already know that. They already know okay, if I haven't gotten offers on my own, I'm going to somebody for help. That's what I'm doing. And so it's really just a long process, and I talk to coaches who ask me, and they're like, all right, who do you got, or who do you believe is somebody worth recruiting for us and whatnot? And, it's always a list, it's always a list. And I present them that list, and I talk about these players and all I know about them, knowing that I could do all that stuff, and they could still say no. Or they could still say, well, we love the kid, we love the prospect, but we don't necessarily have the scholarship offers. Be able to proudly be a part of a community the next 4 or 5 years or 6 years or whatever it is, and love it. I really want to see these kids go to a home after high school and feel accepted, feel like, I'm not just here to waste my breath. I'm not just here to be a dummy, a tackling dummy. I'm here to actually contribute to something bigger than me. And on top of that, just get a free education while they're at it and be set up for life, be better set up for life than people who, would have to go to college and pay for it or can't go to college at all, and so I'd say that's definitely the best part, just to see the recruiting process done, to see them sign, to see them get those offers, and at least to know, okay, they have a couple offers on the table. That means they have a couple opportunities on the table, being that they found a home that they're happy with, that they could live with. And ideally, it's for free and it's not going to kill them. So, financially, that is. But, there you go.
Out of anyone in life, I gotta look up to my dad the most. This guy taught me how to be a dog in life and on a diamond. He really believed in me and taught me up. I was able to be a pro baseball player in many ways because that person believed in me. So, hey, man, I want to say thanks to my dad. That's what's up. Appreciate it, Pop.
How do you want Playmakers Corner, my company, to be remembered? There's a lot of answers I could go with here. Well, here, let me start with, I guess, the core, the mission statement, I guess, or mission values, core values of the podcast. We started this podcast, myself and my co-host Cody Stoffer and, Jesse Budin, some of the other guys. We first started this podcast as, a podcast where, a bunch of college guys could just talk about sports, wanted to cover sports. We wanted to do the sports media thing on our own. We worked, all of us, for a couple other sports companies as interns in college and whatnot. And senior year, we wanted to work for ourselves. We wanted to empower the athlete. We wanted to give the athlete a lot of opportunities to play on the next level, like we talked about earlier and whatnot, or like we talked about, we wanted to cover the stories of these athletes. We wanted to set them up for the best possible success and opportunities ahead of them. Those were all the goals of the podcast. And so when we do film breakdowns talking about what a kid could do better, it's not for the clout. Who cares about the clout? It's because, we want that player to get better. We want them to realize, hey, if we are seeing issues in your game, what do you think Nick Saban sees? I want us to be remembered as a company that no matter what helps the athlete. We're always going to have our doors open to athletes who are open to that change, because I feel like there are also athletes that don't want to change or are told by other adults that they don't need to change, which is simply false. Everyone needs to change. Everyone needs to get better. That's life. Really covering the West Coast of football, the Rocky Mountains football programs, and all that great stuff. That's what I would really love to do long term, and continue to empower the athletes in this region. And eventually across the nation as well. I want to start there and then eventually grow to across the country.